Hello. Can you hear me? Let me see if I can add Instagram real fast. It's so weird that we have to do this like manually. But it is what it is. Yay. And let's see, I gotta get this key thing and put this in here. Sorry. And then I should be able to go live. And then I'll turn my phone off. Hi, how are you? Let me know in the comments section. How's it going for you? There, I should be set. Let me know in the comment section how's it going. It is day one. Day one of the challenge. I'm so excited. I love challenge days, and it's been a while since we did a challenge, so I'm so happy to get to be with you guys on this challenge. So the plan for this week, this is a 7-day challenge. We're doing a 7-day healthy eating challenge. Many of you are already in the challenge. I decided to just leave it open, so if you guys want to keep signing up for it, you can. sales.nourishyourlifestyle.com/7-day-challenge. You can go get it there if you'd like. Oh, yay, Lori just made her salad to sit and watch. I'm so happy to see you. Hello, dear. So feel free to go get that challenge still if you'd like. It is many of the meals that I've been eating lately. So straight from my heart to you, straight from my kitchen to you, more like. Yes, we have an amoeba. This is my daughter, Grace. Every time she draws whatever, it always looks like this. So this could either be a dragon or, what did she say? Oh, this is Moo, actually. This is our cat, Moo, by the way. So it always looks like this. It's the only thing they draw. Okay, so how are you? Let me know. There's a bunch of you on the call. Hey, Carrie, I'm happy to see you. Feel free to type how you're doing down there, and I'll put your comment up on the screen. Okay, yeah, it's Moo apparently, and we have I don't know if you can see her, but we have Vincent back here, sitting right behind me. Of course, she's got to be there in spirit all the time. Okay, so challenge is starting. How is it going for y'all? Have you started? I got some nice comments about the smoothie, and somebody loved the salad. Who was it? Andrea is her name, I think. She's in the, yeah, Carrie, go ahead and ask your question for sure. And Myra, you're on here too. Comment and text me back and let me know how you're watching. Are you on YouTube or on Facebook? And I'll try to help you. Carrie, go ahead and ask your question and I will answer it here. Okay, so it's day one of the challenge. I'm doing these challenge a little bit different. Oh, good. So Lori says, it's fantastic. The smoothie was great, and so are the carob muffins. I'm so glad. And yay, Mary says, hello, great recipes. Yes, they'll love the smoothie and the salad today. Feeling good. I'm so glad. No, Carrie, I can't actually, this isn't an audio thing, so you're going to have to type whatever the question is. I can't bring you on. That's not, a StreamYard doesn't work that way. So you have to type it. Sorry. So I'm glad to see that you guys really like the recipes so far. I'm going to just leave it open. So if you guys, normally I shut down it, but I guess some people still were buying it and stuff Saturday and Sunday. So I guess maybe I just won't shut it down because then you guys can keep buying it if you need to. So I'll just leave it up for sale then. And then, by the way, we're going to be opening up the Eat to Live family again afterwards. So if you want to join the family is so great because it's not just like recipes and stuff, and it's a community, and it's also me coaching every month. So I coach 2 or 3 times a month, depending on how long you've been in the group. And the coaching is super, super powerful. So you can get a chance to get coached by me in there if you're interested. That's only $49 a month. So we'll be opening that up after the challenge, and it's cancel anytime. So you can just come for a little while if you want. Oh, good. Myra, there you were able to comment. Good. So Here I am, Myra. Yes, I am loving this. Made a mistake with the muffins, but they taste great. I started with the tofu scramble. Awesome. Really, really good. I'm so glad. Yeah, I make those muffins every single week, and I just kind of use them for whatever an extra. Actually, I need to roast a sweet potato today. That reminds me. I make them every week, and I have them just like I have them in the challenge for you guys, one or two of them, or even more after a meal. Um, and I always use carob because of the caffeine. Okay, so Carrie, I saw your comment here in the family actually. So in the muffin recipe, I subbed pumpkin puree for carob. Had a problem. How much pumpkin puree should I have used? So here's the thing. Pumpkin puree is wet, carob is dry. So if you've added something wet in place of something dry, and I know you have dietary restrictions, so this is totally fine. Let's just talk it out. It's going to make it so that it doesn't cook right. So you're going to need something like some type of flour that you can use. Is there something that you are not allergic to or can go with your dietary restrictions that you could sub for oat flour? Or can you use oat flour or not? I know you can't do chocolate. What I would do is, let's see. Did you sub? Hey, Kim, no problem. Oh, instead of sweet potato. Okay, I got you. Hey, Kim, I'm glad to see you. I just emailed you back earlier, about an hour ago. Okay. Yeah, so instead of sweet potato. Yeah, so the sweet potato is going to be drier than the pumpkin puree. So what I would do was would be add more of the oat flour or whatever flour you ended up using, add more of that to soak up some of that liquid. You might even cook down the pumpkin puree. I'm not sure if you'd be able to cook it down in a pan and have it be drier, because when you have that cooked sweet potato, it's going to be a lot drier than the pumpkin puree. So, or you could maybe bake them for longer. I would add more of whatever flour you can tolerate. Perhaps even add a bunch of flax. Yeah, you can do flax. So ground flaxseed, I would add a bunch of that too. That will soak up some of that liquid. Okay. Hey, Becky. Um, hi, Becky. Good to see you. Okay, Carrie, tell me what the problem is then. Yeah. Okay, Lori, I didn't test it with cocoa, so I wouldn't know. I was worried that 1 cup of cocoa would be too much, so I only did a quarter. Left out the chips. Perfect. That's perfect. Yep, that carob. I love that really rich carob flavor. I didn't test it with cocoa, so I don't know about that one. So I'm really glad to hear that you guys are liking it. Carrie, let me know what your problem is with it, because I thought it was too mushy and it wouldn't. I thought that's what I read in the family today. Okay. So I'm excited that we're all doing well on the challenge so far, and we're really liking the the recipes. So, oh, hold on one second. um, okay. So Myra said I baked the muffins much longer as I think I blended them too much in the blender. Yeah, totally fine. When I make them, I actually like to have them a little bit kind of chunky a little bit. And then when I go to bake them, I think I baked them for about 25 minutes and then they were just perfect. And I've made them, it kind of varies depending on the size of the sweet potato. So often I usually buy these big, huge sweet potatoes and I'll bake the whole thing, but I'll cut it in half and I'll use 1/2 of it for the recipe. And you kind of, it's kind of like when you make meatloaf, not like many of us make meatloaf anymore, maybe, but like there's a consistency, or maybe when you're making pancakes or something, there's a consistency that you want before you bake it, because then it's going to be the right amount of liquid and not too dry and not too wet. And so I think that consistency is much thicker than pancake dough, pancake batter, much thicker. Like when I make it, it's kind of like cookie dough batter, right? When I put them into the cups, that baking powder really does help, and it sort of lifts them up a bit. But if it's runny, it's not going to turn out good. Okay. Becky didn't receive a pantry list. Email me, okay? And I will send one to you. Let me put up just email us here at support@nourishyourlifestyle.com, or you can email me personally at Sherry@nourishyourlifestyle.com. So it's CHERI@nourishyourlifestyle.com, and I will send that right out to you, okay? Send that to me right now, and I'll send it to you after the video is done. I don't know why that does that sometimes, so disregard those thumbs up. Okay, so Carrie said the recipe was way more than the 64-ounce Vitamix and it was too thick. Okay, so I'm not sure what happened, Carrie. I'm imagining it was the pumpkin puree, the amount of pumpkin puree that was in there, perhaps. When I make this recipe as the directions are, it makes only about a 3/4 of the Vitamix full, and it's the perfect amount for 12 to 15 muffins. So there's something that extended the recipe too much. I'm thinking it was probably the pumpkin puree. And here's what I would do. I would add more flour or flax, things like that, to make it less liquidy. Oh, yours was too thick. Okay. If it's too thick, that's interesting. There must be something, because I've made these about 10 times now, and always the recipe is just great. So there must be something that, can you tell me offline in the family, tell me all of the things that you put in there, and then I'll help you get this recipe right. Okay. Oh, good, Sarah. Hi, I'm so happy to see you. Made the soup so good. I'm so glad. And ready to do the scramble too. I prepped the things, but haven't cooked yet. I added black pepper to help turmeric be absorbed. Perfect. Yeah, that's a good idea. I forgot to add that. I should have added that. Cool. Awesome. I'm so glad that you guys are loving this and having some good activity in here. Okay. So let's get to what I was going to talk about today. I'm excited about your challenge stuff. If you guys have any questions about the challenge, let me know. Let me turn this off. Hold on. There we go. Okay. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. You are so welcome, Sarah. I'm glad to see you on here. Okay. So what we're going to talk about today is just 2 tips for healthy eating. Now, if you guys are in the family, you've definitely heard me talk about these tips before, but sometimes it's nice to hear how I might say things a different way. Oh yeah. Okay. So Lori, really great question. What if I'm too full after this salad, a late lunch, but I don't want to eat my scramble late? Great question. So in the challenge, you guys, in about page, like, I think it was page 4 or 5 or something, I have some talk about hunger and satiety here. I've mentioned this before, but when I make a challenge, there's no way for me to know how much you need to eat. So this is great news, because then it means we can take this into our own hands and we can decide what's right for us. All right. Here's what I suggest. The amount of food that I've put in the challenge is going to be too much food for many people, or not enough for some people, depending on your activity level and things like that. This is totally okay. What we want to do above all, you guys, is get really good at gauging our own hunger and satiety levels. It is going to change with every meal, every single day. So it's never going to be exactly the same every single day. And this is cool. It's an opportunity to really just get in touch with your body and find out what works best. So for this particular question, if I'm too full after this salad, a late lunch, but don't want to eat my scramble late, what I would do is have the scramble in the fridge, have it ready to go. And then what I would do is eat, say around, I'm not sure when you guys normally eat. Lori, I think you eat with your husband and your son, perhaps, when they go to eat, maybe around 8 or 9. You could have a small portion of the scramble. I'm not sure what time you go to bed either, if you go late or not. What you want to do is try to have several hours before you go to bed, so of not eating. So what that looks like is, let's say you go to bed at 11, you want to stop eating by about 8 max, at the latest if possible, 8 to 9 to 10, no, 7, about 4 hours if you can. So you might eat around 6:30. And that means if you're going to have your late salad, which for you, time zone wise, you're either on Central or Eastern. And so it's either 3 or 4 o'clock for you. I would probably eat a small portion of something around 6:30, and then I would be done for the day. Um, let's see. Sarah says doing just 2 meals a day. Yep, you can do just 2 meals a day. That is totally fine. So if the salad is enough to get you through all the way until you go to bed, that's fine too. So if, for instance, you, because the only thing that we don't want is to be starved right before bed. That's all we don't want, right? So I always say, there's a lot of rules about when you should stop eating and things like that. All we're trying to do is have at least a little bit of hunger before we go to bed, but not a ton. We don't want to be starved because that's going to end up making us overeat the next day and being more cravey and things like that. So we want to just be a tiny bit hungry when we go to bed, and we want to just plan our meals for that. So if you have a late lunch, either you skip dinner altogether or you eat, a small dinner. You can also, and here's the thing that everyone doesn't believe they can do. If you start to get really hungry by like 8 or 9, eat something. Even if you're going to bed in an hour or two, eat something little, right? The, the the problem with all these rules and all the suggestions and things that various people give us, um, they're doing that in like a general way, but it doesn't account for all the very different things that happen in our lives. And we just have to go with the flow of those things. So it depends on how much hunger you have. If you're not too hungry before you go to bed, then you've done it right. And if you're starved before you go to bed, then you eat a little bit of something, like a few almonds or half an apple or something like that, and then just go to bed. It will not affect things. Don't worry. You're not going to change your whole life and, miss out on the healing properties of the body by having a little something. So we want to take care of our stomachs first, right? We want to take care of the hunger levels and things first. Okay. So bed at around 10 o'clock. If I take just a few bites around 6 or 7, even if I'm not that hungry, Eastern. Yep. Okay. So bed at 10 o'clock, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. Just a few bites around 6 or 7. That'll get you through. I mean, and the thing is too, with the tofu scramble, it's easy to take just a few bites, probably like 5, 6 bites, something like that. Maybe like a half a cup or something. Or maybe even 3/4 of a cup, perhaps. Get some good veggies in there and some protein. The nice thing about it being a tofu scramble is that it's going to have a lot of really great protein in there, which is going to help when you go to bed. And so good, 10 p.m. is a great bedtime, to have eaten a little bit around 6 or 7, just to kind of hold you off. And yeah, I think that sounds like a really great one. Okay, good. Any other questions, let me know. So that brings me to some here. Let me see if there's any comments on. Oops, I forgot to go live on Instagram. I did all the things I was supposed to do, but I forgot to hit the live button. Sorry, Instagram. Sorry, Instagram. I totally forgot to press the button to go live. I did all the other things, but I forgot to press the button. So here I am. If you guys on Instagram want to watch the last, what has it been now, 20 minutes that I've been talking, then watch it on Facebook or YouTube, because I'm so sorry I forgot to hit the button. I will get this right soon, I promise. So Instagram, we're talking about the challenge here. I'm answering questions of the folks that are on Facebook or YouTube. And so I've answered some before. Okay, let me answer this other question then. We might just do question answering today because we're going to have maybe a lot of questions. So Mary says, I've never had tofu. How much is a block? I have firm. What is pressed? Okay, so tofu is a soybean product. I don't know exactly how they make it. I think it's basically like soy milk, but then turned into a cheese-like type of thing. Like how they take milk and turn it into cheese. They take soy milk and turn it into tofu. So it's basically like the curdling of the soy milk. They just press it down. When you buy it, it's a block that's it's hard to describe. It's something kind of like this, but it's thick. So a block of tofu is basically that pressed tofu down. But when you buy it, it's in a package, a plastic package that has water in it to keep the tofu fresh, and not dried out. So when you buy it, all you do, I take a little knife and I open up the plastic part and I just dump out the water into the sink. And then I take that block of tofu. Now I guess I should have given you guys this link here. Yes. Okay. So let me say that, Myra, actually, that's a good thing. She says, I did not press my firm tofu and it was fine. It was a bit wet, but I like it like that. Exactly. So for this particular recipe for the tofu scramble, it's not necessary to press it. You do want to drain it. So you want to get all the water off of it, but it's not necessary to press it. Most of the time when folks use tofu, we press it first, meaning we like smush it for a while, for like 15 or 20 minutes to get some of that water to come out of it so that it's a little bit drier. For this particular recipe, since it's a tofu scramble, it's kind of nice if it's a little bit wet because it kind of mimics eggs a little bit. And so you don't actually have to press it. And I think I don't think I put that. I think I put that in the directions like to not press it. I'm not sure. Maybe I did put pressed in there. Either way, it's going to be fine. But the type of press that I like the best, I'll say, is and I think I have it on my Amazon channel thing, my shop thing. I'll see if I can get a link for it real quick. But it's just two plastic little board things that have a wing nut that you can tighten down, and it just squeezes that tofu. And you don't squeeze it so much that you smush it. You just squeeze it a little bit and then let it just drain into your sink. It's my favorite. I've tried lots of different presses over the years, and this is the one that I like the most. It's just so simple. It's easy to store in your cupboard or whatever. Okay, I didn't tell you. Yep, I did that on purpose because I wanted it to be wetter for this particular recipe, because then you have more of that egg consistency. Hello, free spirit. I'm so happy to see you. Right, Myra, that's what I was thinking. All right, let me look on Amazon real quick. And if you guys want to get the tofu press that I really love, I'm going to just put up my affiliate link for it here. It's my favorite one. Here it is, the Easy Tofu Press. Okay, let me put this up in the comment section for you guys in case you want that. There we go. You're welcome. Tofu's weird at first. And I'll tell you, the first time I ever tried tofu, I did not like it. I thought it was so weird. And then I didn't try it for a long time after that. And I'm kind of bummed because I love tofu now. I use it so much. I just think it's so wonderful. And it has so much protein. It's just such a great food, I think. And so if you think it's weird at first, that's cool, but give it another try. Okay. Hey, Instagram. I apologize to Instagram because I forgot to turn on Instagram. So I was behind when I started talking to you guys. I'm so sorry. Okay, Myra, I hear you. As an impatient person, the pressing is something I like to avoid. I have the presser and occasionally will use it, but rarely. Yeah. So wet tofu is fine. That's no big deal. And if you're going to cook your tofu, you're going to cook out the water, just cook it for a little bit longer, right? So that's actually not a problem. Typically, when we make tofu, I call it tofu 3 ways. That's the recipe that I've made up for my kids. And I make it 3 ways because I have 3 kids and nobody likes it the same way as anyone else. So I make one that's just totally plain. My daughter likes it plain, not cooked or anything like that. It's a cooked food, so you don't have to worry about cooking it if you don't like it. And then I just throw it in the air fryer. I do a little bit of oil for the girls and a little bit of salt. I use avocado oil and some salt for them and just do little cubes like that size. And I cube it and I put it in the air fryer and I do it for maybe 12, 15 minutes on around 375 and just get it a little bit browned on the outside. They like it that way. And then my other favorite way is to do, I might make it like French fry shapes, or I would make cubes and then I'll roll it in marinara sauce and then I'll roll it in nutritional yeast and then air fry that. And it's these nice little breaded kind of chunks or fries. That's actually my favorite way. You can also do that with portobello mushrooms or any other kind of mushroom too, and air fry it, or you could bake it in the oven too. So I always make it 3 ways like that. And it's delicious. And yeah, paper towels do the trick. Free Spirit just uses paper towels. You can do that too. There's another thing that most people would do if they didn't have a press, and you could do what Free Spirit said was just paper towels, but you could stack put paper towels or cloths like kitchen towels on either side of it, and then put a book on top of it for a few minutes just to kind of get some of that water out. But if you don't care about the water, it doesn't matter. You don't have to press it. But it just makes it nicer if you're actually marinating the tofu. So Tofu doesn't have much of a flavor, and it's nice to impart another flavor into it. And so if you're doing like a marinade, you want to press it because you want more of the marinade to soak into the tofu than because the water will make it so that marinade doesn't soak in, and then you won't have as good a flavor. Okay. Any other questions? Let me know what's going on for you guys. Any other questions? Let me know in the comment section. I'm going to just talk a little bit about a little bit of a lesson I was going to give today, and then I have to head out. So today, what I was going to talk about was just 2 tips for healthy eating. And I've talked about, you're welcome, Mary. She says, thank you for a lot of info and ideas. You're very welcome. So a couple tips I wanted to give today, just for those of us who are interested in healthy eating, that I think are really awesome. Number 1, not just awesome. That was like a dumb thing to say. I mean, like, these tips are helpful if you are trying to be consistent, basically. Okay. So number 1, my favorite tip is what I call bare minimum. Okay. The bare minimum. So a lot of the times we get overwhelmed. Now I'm saying this specifically while we're on a challenge, because the challenge gives us all the things and it tells us all the things to do. And that can be really overwhelming for some people. For other people, they love it. But for some people, it can be like, oh my gosh, I have to do all these things. I've tried to break down our instructions in very simple bite-sized chunks so that you don't get overwhelmed. But even if you do feel overwhelmed, don't worry. This leads me to this concept of bare minimum, because it depends on where you are in your journey. Many of us have been doing this for many years, but many of us are just starting out. Bare minimum is a concept of what is the least that I could do and still be happy that I did something. Right? And what I mean is on a daily basis. And this is going to change in different periods of our life. So for instance, when I first had my twins, after I had my twins, you couldn't pay me to eat a salad. I was not interested. I did not want vegetables. I was like a peanut butter and toast, phase at that point. And it was hard for me to come out of that. So I said to myself, all right, what is the bare minimum that I could do right now? And the thing that for myself at that point I could do was just whole foods. Let me just try to do as many whole foods as possible. So the bare minimum, it wasn't even like, oh, I'm going to just be full on nutritarian or whatever. It was, no, let me just figure out how to do whole foods. And I didn't even do perfectly with that, right? But it's like it's a math problem. Like, how much stress do you have? How busy are you? How much focus are you willing to put to your food versus all the other things that you have in your life? And what is the bare minimum that you could do today? So I would love for you guys to tell me in the comment section, what is your bare minimum food-wise right now? For instance, with exercise, a very easy way to think about this with exercise is, let's say we're not exercising very much, but we want to. We pick a bare minimum, which might be 5 minutes of something every day, like maybe just stretching, right? I actually have had clients before where we've been trying to get into exercise, and the way that we do it is never by going to the be all end all, right? We start off slow. We call these small shifts. We start off slow and we say, what is that bare minimum that I could do? So for a lot of people, it's, 5 minutes of stretching, just start out, right? Because that's something that we feel like we could pull off every day, no matter what's going on. Or maybe it's 60 seconds. It doesn't even have to be 5 minutes, right? Or maybe we're at a point where it could be like a 30-minute walk or something like that, right? What is your bare minimum? So let me know in the comment section for you guys. What is the food wise? So I'm talking about food here. What is the bare minimum that you could pull off every day, no matter what happens that day? What is the bare minimum that you could pull off? Like when it comes to, like I said, whole foods, right? Or maybe you want to go a step further and say whole foods, but plant-based, right? So vegan kind of foods. Maybe you want to go a step further and you want to, in your bare minimum is whole foods, plant-based, no salt, no oil, no sugar, right? So you're almost nutritarian there. And then if you wanted to go fully nutritarian, your bare minimum might be whole foods, plant-based, no salt, no oil, no sugar, and very high nutrient foods, right? In sort of order of nutrients or whatever. So these are some things that we can think of as far as what is our bare minimum. And then, or maybe it could be just no processed foods or just no gluten right now or whatever. What is a bare minimum that you can stick to? So Carrie says, my bare minimum exercises are my neck exercises. Perfect. Sometimes only 2 or 3 of them. Yep, that is the bare minimum. That's the thing that we can do every day. And Myra says, I can have at least 1 nutritarian meal a day, and yet I often have more. That's amazing. Like, and I always remember that same exact bare minimum for myself is like 1 meal a day, because I could always pull off a smoothie or oatmeal. That was easy. I can't always pull off a salad or a soup or something like that. And so I would say if I could just have 1 meal a day, that would be great. That's such a good little rule there. Okay, cool. So that's one tip there. Okay, and Lori says, tofu press is put it in the basket, bands on the sides, pop it in the fridge and forget about it. Another option. Okay. I've had one before that has like and were you joking though? Just forget about it. Right. But yeah, I mean, once you bring the tofu home from the store, if you go to press it right away, then you can use it immediately without having to think about it. Right. Okay, so the other tip that I wanted to give you guys, we've talked about this before and I want to talk about it again. Eat when hungry, stop when full. Okay. We talked about this last week on the video as well. Having this, and this can be like a bare minimum too. I always say, even if it's not plant-based, even if it's not no processed food, none of it, like even if you follow none of that other stuff, if your bare minimum can be just eat when you're hungry and just stop when you're full, right? That's more than a lot of us do anyway, right? And some days when it's those really busy days, like also, we have events that come up on the weekends, or we have events after work or whatever. Sometimes I say, like, if you're going to a wedding or you're going somewhere that's that doesn't really have a lot of options, if you default to this bare minimum of eat when hungry, stop when full, at least we're going to be eating the right amount for our body, even if it's not like the perfect food or whatever. Okay. But as long as we don't overeat, right? So just don't overeat. That's something that can be a bare minimum too. And I've definitely had that bare minimum many times. Kim, okay, so mine would be whole food, easy to prepare, and no oil or very little oil. Yep, absolutely. That's a great one. And so maybe for some of us, that bare minimum is just eating when we're hungry. Maybe even it's not even stopping when full. It's just eating when we're hungry. And that can actually start to get us in touch with those signals in our body, like just eating when hungry. Because many of us eat, like my husband is like this. He'll get up in the morning and eat. He just eats automatically because that's how he was raised. They always ate first thing when they woke up. And so he'll just eat. And for me, I don't think I probably did that when I was a kid, but then in college, I kind of got myself over that because I was trying to do more like intermittent fasting before that was a thing, but I would do it in the end of the day. So I would try to eat my first meal as late as possible. So I did that for many years and I was in that habit. And I started to question everything after my last pregnancy. And I was like, do I really want to do that? Is that really helpful? Is that the best way? So I started experimenting with eating right when I got, or eating when I got hungry, not like trying to push off hunger and, ignore hunger for a while because it was easier to do it in the morning or something. I was like, why don't I let me just try listening to my body and seeing what happens. And so what I started doing was the minute I got that first hunger pang in the morning, I was like, okay, breakfast time. And I would honor that. And what I learned about myself, which was so fascinating, was that if I ate first thing in the morning or when I first got hungry, I didn't want so much food later. I would have like a normal size meals for my 1 or 2 other meals. And it made it so that my cravings were a little bit less and they were more manageable. And I was like, whoa, that was interesting, right? And it's just something that I experimented with for myself for a while. And so now, having done so many different experiments like this with myself, I've learned so much about the way my body operates and things. And that's really how we want to be, is we really just want to listen to our body when it says to eat And so we could have a bare minimum of just eat when hungry, right? Just try that one. And so I always say, if we're experimenting with this stuff, give it a week or two and just say, okay, for the next week, I'm just going to experiment with this and see what this is like. Instead of following everyone else's rules, let me make up my own rules. Let me make up what I actually like. And let me find out what I actually like instead of doing what everyone else tells me to do, right? Okay. So Carrie says, my bare minimum in food is getting some Mary's Gone crackers with sunflower butter and jam, or the Waspa crisp with Trader Joe's red pepper spread. Yep. So that's cool because that's like a very, very simple sort of meal or a snack that we could have that still feels like it fits our criteria for things. And it's technically processed food, but barely, it's still really, really healthy foods. And having that as a bare minimum is really good. Okay, Myra says, on the hunger scale, and you guys, I put an illustration of the hunger scale inside the challenge if you guys haven't seen it yet, so make sure you check that out. So Myra says she overate yesterday and today ate the first meal about 10:30. Not hungry now at 4. We'll be up till 12, so plan on one more meal. Yep, that sounds perfect. That sounds really, really good. And it sounds like, you and I have been working on this a lot, but really listening to your body. Myra is one of my private clients, listening to your body as far as hunger and satiety and honoring what our body is telling us. Yeah, Kim, it's true. I think the hardest thing for me is to stop when full, not stuffed. Yeah, that's a big one. So what I would suggest for anyone who maybe has that same issue is just pick that one thing as your bare minimum and only do that one. Right? So for the next week or two, just look at it. I mean, don't try to fix it or anything. Just look at it. Right? So what I like for folks to do is, if you often eat until stuffed, which is what I always used to do too, just ask yourself why. Why do I do this? Why do I always eat until I'm stuffed? Why do I think it's important? Many of us have like a fear of hunger, so that we're afraid of getting hungry again later on in the day because we associate that with maybe toxic hunger symptoms like irritability or, what else? Uh, Stomach grumbling, hangry, kind of being mean or whatever, shakiness, things like that. We have associated hunger with those feelings. And so we're afraid of feeling those. So we feel more comfortable to get stuffed. And then if stuffing is such a pattern for us, then that has become our norm. And so we feel very uncomfortable not stuffing. And we were talking about this in a previous live here. I think it was last week. We were talking about the idea that, oh no, it was in a coaching call inside of my Vitality group program, my group coaching program. We were talking about the idea of like, why do we stuff? Why do we get to that place where we're so full? And what would it be like? One person I was coaching the other day, we were talking about binging and why binging feels so comforting, because you get that relief of the end of craving, right? So if we get to a place where we're stuffed, it turns off those cravings and it turns off the brain so that we finally have relief. And what I was mentioning on this call the other day was the idea of relief can actually come purely as an emotional decision. Like, we can actually choose relief right here, and we can actually shut off cravings with decisiveness. This is something we talk about in my coaching program, in my group program, private program, and in the family as well. That and actually how to do that. How do we actually make that choice? And because we can manually shut off cravings without having to eat the food to make it go away. That's a really, really good skill to have. And that's what we talk about in the program. So that relief can come, and then it can become a habit for us too. We've had a habit of stuffing for so long. We can also make the habit of choosing relief and letting the proper amount of food for us at that particular moment be relieving as well. Okay, good. That makes sense, Kim. I'm glad. Okay. So Myra says, surprised to see that today I haven't wanted to overeat at all today. with the kids in the AM to not eat at all. Oh, very different. Oh, cool, Myra. So that's, yeah, we've been talking about when you go to take care of the children and how you have to feed them kid food, and that's always something that you want to eat as well. As we've been working together for several weeks now, and as we get more and more used to these self-honoring, self-love, self-communication type things, the more it becomes easier and the more it becomes our MO then to like take care of ourselves first. And then we start to realize like we can actually do stuff without being super triggered. Like, we could like order pizza for the kids and they can eat that and we could be not triggered. This is possible. This takes time, but it's all possible for all of us. Those of us that think we're food addicts and things like that, which is what I always thought. It's just not true. It's not like there's something wrong with our brains, us versus them kind of a thing. We all have the ability to overcome this stuff. So that's a sign, Myra, that these things are easing up and getting better, right? And Myra says to Kim, that's been hard for me too. The help has to be really don't judge it. See it and be kind. That has been so helpful to me. Yeah, absolutely. So, knowing that these are just patterns that we've continued to perpetuate for so many years, and that because they're patterns that we've perpetuated, they can also be undone. And that's the best news, right? It just takes some time and understanding of how to do that. And that's what I guide people to do, is how do we undo these patterns? They ease up over time. They get better over time. And we realize that we actually are so immensely powerful. And we never knew that we were. Okay. And yes, Lori, I know flour tortillas are your kryptonite for sure, but the corn tortillas for the tacos are the trick. I hate corn tortillas, yeah, but they are great with your tacos. Thank you. Binging shuts off. Exactly, Lori. This is a reason why we want to, over time, not buy flour tortillas anymore. Not because we cannot handle ourselves around them, but we want to buy corn tortillas because they're just not that interesting. Like, they're just not that fun. I could eat like, sometimes I like to, I just realized we have some too, and I don't even care about them, but we have some in the freezer. I like to just like take one or two, throw them on the burner, Mexican style, no pan or anything, just turn on the gas burner and cook them for a few seconds and flip them and then just eat them like that. But whenever I eat them, here's what happens. I go, pretty good. Right? I eat it and then I might eat another one and I'm like, oh, pretty good. I might have up to 3 max. I like the flavor of corn, and I can tell that it's a corn tortilla, and that's really, corn and lime is pretty much the only flavors in there, right? And I can tell, and I'm like, oh, this is good. And then I'm like, I don't want any more. That is what we want our food reaction to be like, right? That's what we actually want for the rest of our life, is we want to eat foods that don't really excite us that much, that they're like, oh, this is good. It did what it needed to do. And I'm done. That's it. Right. So, when I met my husband, he's Mexican, and we would have a lot of foods that had corn tortillas. And I was always like, corn, like, can't we get the flour, And over the years, it's the same thing I say about salt, by the way. I have a video on my YouTube channel that's the real reason to not eat salt. The real reason to not eat salt is because it makes everything taste amazing, and it makes you eat more. Right? Yeah, like there's stroke stuff and, it's bad for your blood vessels or whatever, but like, that's not why we don't want to eat it. We don't want to eat it because it makes everything taste amazing, and then we eat more than we need. Same with sugar, same with salt, same with oil. It makes everything taste amazing. And then we will eat a percentage more. I think, Sarah, what were you saying, Sarah? It's something like you might eat 30 or 40% more if you use salt, oil, or sugar of whatever food, just because it tastes so good, right? And then you say, oh, well, I really want to like my food. I don't want to hate my food or whatever. Yeah, I get that. But like, you can like it enough to eat it and to be satisfied, but we want to like ratchet down that dopamine response to food. We don't want that super high dopamine response. We don't need it. It's like, there's no reason to have that. Food should be this like pretty chill thing where we like eat when we're hungry, So then it tastes amazing and we really, really love it, even if it's a corn tortilla and we like it. And we like it because we ate when we were hungry. We're not going to like it if we don't wait till we're hungry, right? We're not going to like how it tastes if we just ate or something. So we want to actually ratchet up our interest in it by waiting until we're hungry, eat the food, go, oh, this is pretty good. Yeah, great. Have 2 or 3 of them because that's all we need. And then we kind of get bored and we're done. And then we move on and we wait another few hours to eat again. This is why we want to be eating and the reason that people don't buy flour products is they're so afraid of overeating on them. And they're like, oh, I can't have them in the house because I'll overeat. Okay, yeah, like that's true. But like, how about we just not have them in the house because they're not that good for us and like they make us want to eat more, Not like there's a subtle distinction I'm giving you guys here. And this is the last thing I'm going to say today, okay? There's a subtle distinction between I can't have it in the house because I can't control myself around it, and I don't want it in the house because it makes me eat more than I need. Like, it's too interesting for my brain. Like, why would I have food like that around? I'd rather eat the right amount of something, have several of them and just be done, right? Okay. So that's it for today. I got to go get to a client call. Thank you guys so much for your time. I'm so excited for you in this challenge. Listen, go into the Facebook group, please. Comment, interact, use that Facebook group or use the family for those of you who are in the family to talk about it, to do some exciting stuff and motivate each other. In the Facebook group is such a great place, the High Nutrient Lifestyle group, such a great place to check in and share your thoughts and share your feelings and get questions answered and things like that. So go into the Facebook group or go into the family, interact. We're going to be sending out more emails to you every day to motivate you and keep you inspired. There's also a bunch of old videos that we've done in the past on YouTube. I believe they're still up there in the live section of my YouTube where I've done previous. Oh, maybe they're not still up there. They are in the family though. I think we might be sending them out so you can watch them again. But that's a really great way to be able to be connected with me too, is to use some of these old workshops and using the emails that are in there and staying connected on Facebook to keep you motivated. Okay. So awesome. You're so welcome, Myra. I'm so glad you're doing it. You're welcome, Kim. Have a great rest of the day, everyone, too. I appreciate you being here. I will be back on Friday live to keep motivating and talking about some more stuff. Okay, so enjoy your first day. Oh, and last thing, if you guys want, I have a WhatsApp texting group, guys. So we've sent some emails out. Keep looking out for some information about that. There's a texting group that you can get in on that you can use for motivation during this challenge, but also afterwards. It's a monthly cancel anytime, $19 a month kind of a thing, okay? And there's a bunch of people in there and it's all fun and we're chatting about things. So feel free to join that one if you want to, okay? So have a great day, you guys. Thank you, everyone. Have an awesome day and I'll see you guys on the next live video on Friday. Okay, bye.